Maka Jesus kaina kohoni zapota. Maka momo ya kaine kuya kaine cheta. Brini meki Jesus nimendogi gini kimeta. Come on. I want to say that there are many times one can make sense out of nonsense. For instance, there are so many of my videos that if you are listening to them, if you are watching them, if you are one of the people who have known me personally at one place or at one point or another, anytime, whether while I was younger or much younger than this or just within this time, you might begin to contemplate if actually is this same guy you know very well that you feel he's just ordinarily very okay. The truth is, there are reasons why sometimes one can be talking to self and you talk, the other people whom you feel you are talking to don't understand what you are talking about or what you are saying. And even you yourself, you know you are talking to them, but at the same time you know very well that they don't understand what you are talking about. Even though it might be very true that there might be some particular kind of people whom you are very sure that these people know what you are talking about and you are directly talking to them. But to the other people, you are more or less like a madman, let me say a confused person. Someone that they can be contemplating, are you sure it's this same person? Are you sure this is Pastor Moses? Or are you sure this is Otuobu or whatever you know me for? Are you sure this is Bro Moses? Whichever way, vice versa. There are reasons why we do like that sometimes. There are reasons why sometimes people can behave as strange as that. Many times it doesn't really apply that they have gone psychic, that they are either trying to be funny or a strange spirit have got hold of them and begin to mismanage them. There are some people ordinarily you cannot be able to manipulate to that point. For instance, I can, if I don't know anything I can boast of, I can tell you vividly, right open that people like me, any place you place my name for negative manifestations, especially the one that will make me probably talk off point or talk like someone who have gone insane, I think you have done well with me, because you can't, no chance has capacity to manipulate me to that point. It will mystify a very strong positive energy instead. As in, you may have just ordinarily helped me to accomplish, let me call it a destiny. And one of the reasons why we talk like that sometimes is because we know we are still coming, that the people who were confused at one point or the other will still realize what we were saying previously and will ordinarily go back to it and make reference and then now catch everything completely that we were talking about. But I want to say there are different reasons why people do the way they do, why people behave the way they behave, why people talk the way they talk. There are certain reasons behind it. Like I keep making promises. Very soon I'm going to tell us exactly how to check one's individual life path, destiny paths, uh, name numbers or expression numbers, which also can be called destiny paths, soul urge numbers, and even the implications of the first alphabet on your middle, last, and first names. These things, I'm not always saying this to mean threat or saying it to diversify the people of God to start looking the other way around to know who they are. No. Already the content and the complete content of who you are is already documented in the scripture. But because I want us to, number one, primarily lay hand on these things and begin to make findings and research for certain things. And at the end of the day, we correspond it back to the scripture. Then number two is because ordinarily why I wouldn't urge anybody to make a life permanent dependent on these things. Let me call it these little things. But at one point or the other, if you begin to understand them, it matters. It has its own positive side of helping you to know exactly who you are. Because there are some times when you go deep on these things, it looks as if you are only seeing yourself in the mirror. You begin to find out why you do certain things you do. And you begin to know what you really need and that which you don't actually shouldn't have gone for or will go for. So they are all important. Just like it's always said that no knowledge is a waste. But my point here is I want to apologize for people who think I've been talking too muchly in riddles or proverbial or keeping the people in suspense or even reflecting a psychopath as in someone who one could say, are you sure it's really this guy? Are you sure something is not under? Are you sure this guy have not gone to smoke some weeds or taken some hard drugs or another? Or are you sure some people have not gone at the back trying to manipulate this guy and they want to mystify it through psychic side of him? No, there is nothing like that. But actually, I was laying my confidence based on the fact that I know I am coming somewhere and I know you will later discover me and later find out why I was talking like that and exactly the content meaning of some of those things I was talking about. And having said that, when we begin to find ourselves, who we are, sometimes we can also begin to find out why the other person talks the way he talks. For instance, I am both an 11 and 22 and 33. Even to some point, at both horizontal and vertical, without missing words, I am also a 26th. That is only what I can explain. But already people who know how to make certain findings at one point or the other concerning this numerological subside of life already know who I am when it comes to being 11 or being 22 or 33. They already know. It's natural from my chart, either from the birthday or from the side of name. It's not hidden. There are some people whom, as I'm talking, they are not wondering to know who I am. They already have known. In fact, many of them have known from centuries. If I were born from centuries. So that is by the way. But I want to bring up this point. The reason why I have been sounding the way I do is because that 11 itself is a problem. For you to be an 11 is a bitterly sweet attributes or characters and characteristics. Yes, And if I want to make a tautology, I will also add, of course, you are a prophet for being 11, or sharing so strongly from the life path of 11, raw, especially from both life path and destiny path. But the negative side of it is some of the things you are seeing. 11 can talk from morning till night. He is not tired. He will make certain teachings. He will explain things and break it down into pieces. But many of the times, they also talk fierce. Because more of their talking sometimes could be very subjective. It's not something that you can look ordinarily and say, yeah, this is this that this guy is saying. I think I've had this thing before. No, you talk exactly as you are being inspired. That was why when you go to the book of certain books in the scripture like Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Zechariah, some books, almost all the books in the scripture, you find some of those prophets talking. You find many times that the words are not in the sentence. In fact, I could say Bible was one of also the reasons a field of study was invented that was called literature, where we begin to learn different figure of speech and literary meanings of certain things. There are sometimes you'll be talking as an 11. Somebody will ordinarily say that this man or this lady, so far as I'm concerned, he is insane. He's not making any point. He's going mad. He's going crazy. Because they are the people who are seeing that, which is not at the optical eyes to see. If you carry a ladder or climb a pole, it will still take you stress to see exactly what they are seeing and what they are laying emphasis on. They are stress. It's not something you can cheaply grab. In fact, more of the time, their job is to interpret mysteries. So having said that, while it is true that they are gifted for interpreting mysteries and are born natural teachers, especially when it comes to teaching the scripture, they are natural evangelists and rabbis. They are good teachers. But you also need to have patience with them. In fact, this is the essence of some of us learning each other's, not just temperament, but life path and destiny paths, to understand exactly some of the attributes we shared, both in similarity and in differences, so that you can always have some element of patience from the other person, knowing who he is. Because many times, when you want to really teach, there are probability of making, I wouldn't want to call it ambiguity, but making references and sharing detail, making some things digestive. Because many times you know what you are sharing or about to share is not something that you can say, Ada, this is Obi, Obi, this is Ada, and the other person will understand because he's seen Obi. He can call him, are you really Obi? Obi can respond and say, yes, I'm Obi. And Obi can shake hand or make some embracement with Ada and say, I've been hearing about Ada, so you are really the one. But it's not like that. It's something that you are trying to bring something that is not physical to explain something that is physical. Or you are trying to bring something that is physical to explain something that is spiritual. Human beings many times live objectively. Not so many of us live subjectively. So these are some of the troubled ways. And these are some of the areas that when you are still coming and you know you have not arrived, it's not everybody will understand you at that point in time. Many people will assume if you are just deliberately trying to waste people's time, because some of the people who knew you and know that nothing is wrong with you will say you are deliberately and determined to always come here to waste people's time when they think they want to listen to something useful and all of that. And some people who have known you also but are not lucky to be very familiar with you at that moment will say something is now going wrong with somebody like this. But obviously it's not. I once lived in Agege, a place I called the Bomu Agege. In fact, I was particularly living around a place called Awori Street, around the Bomu Agege, just at the back of Balogulawe, or moving front close to Alhaja, somewhere there. And one of the compound I was living, I had a brother. I called him brother because we more or less come from the same place. He used to say something. He said, it is a kind of a slogan to him. Said anytime he wants to talk, said I want to make sense out of nonsense. You understand? It become like what we know him to be. I want to make sense out of nonsense. The truth is, one can actually make sense out of nonsense, but it requires the patience of the listener. That is one of the criteria for making sense out of nonsense. Because when you want to make sense out of nonsense, the nonsense will always look like nonsense until you were able to improvise the sense from that your nonsense, that people could say, oh, I thought as much. Because I know this man, I know that nothing was wrong with this young man. But peradventure you weren't able to improvise the sense from the nonsense you are laying stress on. That is exactly when you have become their madman, so far as they are concerned. So I want to say, may we have patience. We are getting somewhere. I wouldn't want us to be much too speedy, trying to know what is playing or this, because in many of my videos, even me, I'm very, very sure that I'm keeping the people in suspense, if not more or less going mad. There are some time I talk, even me, when I want to look at myself, I said I will laugh to scorn, as in I don't know whether I will say laughing to myself or for myself, because I see myself really creating a huge kind of suspense to the people's mind, and also reacting psychic, or like one who have gotten some kettle of beer or so. But it's far from that. We are looking at the 12th house of Jacob that were missing. When you go to site, especially the particular site called angel number, that particular site is called angel number menu. When you go there and say, type something like, what is the angel number 6669, he will tell you that so many things about 666 and 9. It's true that they will kind of let you know and impress your mind and free it from that it is nothing like 666 being negative or a negative thing. That people, when they hear 666, they got afraid and all of that, doesn't want to listen anymore. No? That 666 is one of the best number and all of that for materialism and this, that, and free philanthropist, and they will begin to romance that 666 and the 9 as one of the greatest number in the world. But the same particular side that I told you of, there are reasons why they are romancing it like that. But Bible is not a liar. Bible told us particularly that we should calculate the number, especially at the end time, that the number belongs to a man. That is, the number is the name of a man. So Bible couldn't have been so confused. So, but having said that, I want to say, when you're going down and keep going down, you find a place that the Bible said, that the site said that this 6669 is very interested because there is a particular one that was discovered that is being called 669 OB. 6669 OB. That this is the most interesting thing about 6669. And that this 669 OB was discovered in 1994. And I hold interpretations to that, but it's not where I'm going now. And I will still explain these things. Then, just below it, in that particular side, but he said that there is, because he called that 669 OB, he said an interesting thing is that an asteroid, you know what is asteroid? If you don't know it, you check your dictionary. It has something to do with the celestial bodies in the planets. But he said another thing that is worrisome is also that there is a constellation Hercules. A constellation Hercules. Being recognized as the mortal of the strongest Jew living person that actually came for the job of the 12. But when you try to make finding or a research concerning what is a constellation Hercules, there are so many stories you begin to find out there. And they will still keep laying emphasis that this constellation Hercules actually came for the job of the 12. Now, that is not where I'm going. They didn't explain which 12 or what is the 12 and the job of the 12. But where I want to go now is, we know the 12. We are the 12. The 12 is all over the scripture. Nobody is a kind of oblivion concerning the 12. The 12 is what we know. When Bible mentioned any place 12, many times we know the implications. When anything is done in 12, we understand what it means. The recruit of Christ as one of his apostles and disciples were recruited in 12 because he was looking out for the 12. And he stressed it that this is why he come. Even the first bishop, who was named Peter, he begged him a lot concerning the 12. And at a point he told him that it is you that I'm going to use to make sure that I find the 12. Study the book of Matthew very, very well, especially from 16 to the end chapter. You begin to kind of discover what I'm telling you. When he begin to lay emphasis about the kingdom and how it will look like. It's okay.